Good morning, Raptor Freak Alexey Ots here on Monday morning. So it's time for Monday Memories, where I take a date in the history of the Raptors and I think back to my memory of it. And today's memory is really all about perspective. I want to look at two different things today. I want to look at the past, the present, and the future, because this is really what you need to do to inform yourself for decisions going forward, is to really understand perspective and how things happen and change over time. So today's date that I'm looking at is October the 4th, 2021. It was the first game of the preseason for the Raptors, their first return to the Scotiabank Arena to play in the building, even though it wasn't regular season, since 2020 before the pandemic started. So it was a very special day, and I wanted to make sure I would be there at the game. So I was at that game, and I just want to think about the things that I thought about that day when I went to the preseason game, as far as like being so happy to see the Toronto Raptors playing in our arena again after a couple of years, after Tampa, after, the bubble and things like that. That was very exciting to me, just having them back in the arena. And then, I didn't realize at that point in time that our opponent, the Philadelphia 76ers, would be the bookends of our season. That preseason game was really the first part, and then that we would play them in the first round and be eliminated by them in the first round. Very, very interesting to me. Of course, in that preseason game, neither one of the key important guys on either side were playing. Pascal still wasn't back from his injury. He wouldn't be back for at least a month. And Joel Embiid did not play in this game that I'm about to talk about today. That it was really just, they didn't even have Ben Simmons. They didn't have Tobias Harris, didn't even play in this game. And I remember I got there really early because I was very excited to see the Raptors back in the building. Like, I couldn't wait. Like, I was very much like a dog waiting for their owner to come home from work and by the door. And that's how I felt about the Raptors being back in Scotiabank Arena, and having them back in Toronto this year was just so awesome and just right. Everything was more right in the world because of this. But because I got there so early, I was able to watch completely the warm-ups before the game. And I was able to watch Joel Embiid for like half an hour. And he was really working out hard. Like, it was just him out there. There was nobody on the other side of the court, hardly. I mean, I think there were a couple of Raptors maybe just sitting, but I was really watching Joel. And the thing that I realized watching him for that half hour before the game, because he didn't play, was he had really expanded his offensive skills. That I was seeing turnaround jumpers from like 15, 20 feet out. I was seeing all kinds of stuff that I was like, holy crap, this guy is not just a low post player anymore. And it really was a foreshadowing of the season, and the amount of that Joel put into his game to become better. So it was very, very much a foreshadowing, and I didn't realize it at that time. Now, the game was very interesting because we were getting to see Scotty Barnes in a Toronto Raptors jersey for the first time, running up and down the court with everybody, and he was badass. Like, it was really amazing to see the young Raptors in that game, whether it was Delano Banton. Justin Champagnie had 17 points in this game. Svi Mihalik was still very useful at that time and had like a double-digit point scoring game also. All the Raptors had very all-around good stats. They were getting rebounds, they were getting assists, and they were getting points. So it was a really good like foreshadowing for the season to me, because we were seeing all-round game instead of just all out trying to score and really playing off each other. In fact, we won the rebounding battle that day and also the assist battle. And that's a stat I really want to see get better for the Raptors next season. Now, talking about within perspective, talking about that October the 4th, 2021 preseason game against Philadelphia, which started this season that we just ended, and then thinking about how we went out with the Sixers in the 6-game series last week, and then also thinking about the future, because these knuckleheads at Inside the NBA once ahead opened up their mouths and just said stupid shit. And the funny thing is that the mainstream media is putting them on blast, putting their message all over. I get up this morning, I look at Yahoo Sports, and on the front page, it says Shaq and Charles don't believe that the Raptors are going to go anywhere, that they have no ceiling high enough to compete, actually, that they'll be stuck in this mediocre place of being exactly what they were this year. Well, once again, these guys are fucking idiots. Like, honestly, I feel like they just get their checks and live their life. And they're not actually doing any real work as analysts, that they're not actually watching anything. They actually are just collecting checks and showing up and just shooting their big mouths off because they have no grounding in reality or understanding of basketball at this point to me. Sure, they've overvalued this superstar system over the last 10 years so much because of people like LeBron James and Kevin Durant. But the game's changing and they don't understand this. In fact, they may be dinosaurs that are getting left behind with their way of thinking. And that they need to stop just saying, well, they don't, if you don't have any superstars, you can't get far in the playoffs. Well, the argument I'm going to make towards Shaq and Charles this morning is listen, there were a couple of factors for the Raptors that made them underperform what they could actually do this season. Whether it was Pascal missing the first month, whether it was all of our guys being very new personnel, and it takes time to get them to gel, to get them to find out how they play together. And that was really our first 2 months of the season last year. October and November, we were just figuring it out. We were waiting for our franchise player to come back, and we were figuring it out. And our record was horrible. We had a bad record at the beginning of the season, this past season, and we had to make up for it over time. And we did. Once Pascal came back, we started gelling, even though we had different things happen like COVID at different times or, injuries. It always seemed like there were at least one or two Raptors out at any given time. And we kept going and winning. And the clip that we won at after the beginning of December to the rest of the season is actually elite. It's not that far off from what Boston was doing at the end of the year. It's not that far off from all the rest of the top teams in the league. And that's the thing that they're not looking at. That's the thing they're not understanding. That listen, you may not see a superstar on our team, but maybe we have stars on our team. Maybe we have 7 or 8 of our stars on our team. Like I'll say at least 5 or 6 guys that are possible all-star candidates in the future for their careers. Like I could see Precious becoming an all-star at some point. I could see Scotty being an all-star at some point for sure. I could see, Pascal and Fred already are. OG could be an all-star. Gary Trent could be an all-star at some point. So I think this is really short-sighted and just shows that these guys don't pay attention. That they're very shallow with their predictions and the things that they say and stuff like that. And they just don't understand that if we had been healthy going in the season and we took time to gel, that we could have been a home court advantage playoff team this year, that we were this close to being the 4th seed in the NBA in the East. And they just don't understand this. And then the whole other thing about them, they expect us to be just as bad next year because we don't have the big money to go get a huge free agency splash. And then they see that we just have what we are and that we're going to be mired in mediocrity. They're stupid. They don't understand how players get better. They don't understand that the median age of the Toronto Raptors right now is 23. That there's 8 players younger than 23 and there's 8 players older than 23. And there's only 1 player that was actually in their 30s. So you tell me, Charles and Shaq, are these guys going to get worse because they're young like this? Are you going to tell me that Scotty Barnes is going to get worse next year? Are you going to tell me that Precious Achiuwa is going to get worse next year? Because if you are going to tell me that, you guys need to have your NBA analyst cards revoked because that's just fucking stupid. Like anybody can see that these guys are going to be studs and they're going to be absolute badasses. And then the other thing on the down low is our older vets, OG, Pascal, and Fred, they're going to get better next year also. So they're only looking at it as like a big splash move. They're only looking at it, who are they going to get to come save them? Well, we don't need anybody to save us, motherfuckers. We got the guys that are going to save us within already. And I've said this a couple times over the last couple weeks. Our team is like a garden. It's got a lot of different plants growing and they all grow together and they all grow apart. And the part that grows apart this summer is them working on their own by themselves and they're growing. And then when they come back together for the season next summer, we all show off the new tricks. We all show off the new advantages, the new parts of their game that they've worked on. And that all of them together as a cumulative bring the team up because they all had growth in their game. And that's the thing that these guys don't fucking understand. And that's part of the reason is because they believe in the superstar NBA. And that, you just come in as you are, you coast on your skills and your talent like LeBron, and you don't put in the hard work to get better and better. And that's what these guys are doing on the Raptors. They're all going to come back better than they were this year. And that just means we're going to be better. They're going to have more time together. So obviously they're going to be better because of that, because they're going to have more chemistry. And really what Shaq and Charles are saying right now is kind of a hit job from NBA head office media to try and make us feel unsure about our team possibly continuing to get better. And that also it may be that they want some sort of dissension for us to make a stupid move this summer, to try and make a big splash, to try and maybe like the fans cry out, oh, we need to do something big and better. This is why all these fans out here cry out for these trades and these ideas of getting people like Donovan Mitchell, is because people like Shaq and Charles say stupid shit like what they're saying. We need to understand, Raptors Nation, we've got the core we need. We've got the players we need, and these guys just don't have any idea who we really are. That they're just looking at paper, they're just looking at a whole dumb idea of how they go about things, and they don't understand that this team is really good and really talented, and they're going to get really a lot better. And maybe part of it is they're trying to poo-poo it before ahead of time. But I'm really disappointed in them. And maybe it's partly because of how it went down with the Philadelphia series and things that went down, that they really want to try and kill our spirit. They really want to try and hurt what we feel about our team. Well, I want every Raptor fan out there to understand that Shaq and Charles are stupid. And what they're saying is not true, that we're not going to be stuck in mediocrity, that when we come back next season, hopefully we're healthy and we have more experience together, and all the individual guys grew apart. And then when they came back together, they threw all that in the kettle, and we see this a crazy and incredible Raptors team for next year. That's what I'm saying. If we're healthy at the gate and we can win at the clip that we were already winning last year, we could even do better, because we could be better. They were wrong. We could be way better next year. And that's just the shifting of roles, the uprising of certain young players, getting better all of a sudden, and just being smarter with the ball, being better on offense, getting more assists and playing among each other better. Things like this will improve our team for next year, and will prove once again that Charles and Shaq don't know what the fuck they're talking about, even though they may be the most looked at or listened to analysts of the NBA just because of their entertainment. In fact, at this point, they're not really journalists. They're not really analysts. They're entertainment. They're clowns. They're fucking comedians. They're not really people that understand basketball at this point. And that's my short and long of it, as far as what Charles and Shaq have said in the last 24 hours, that they're stupid, that they don't understand the truth and the reality of the potential to grow with our team, that they say we need a superstar. Well, what if I told you we got a superstar, maybe two or maybe three, that may emerge next year? And, if they point to this whole first round exit this year, they're fucking wrong about that too. If we had been healthy the whole series, and that includes Gary Trent not being sick, Scotty not missing 2 games, and Fred not missing 2 games, we would have won the first round. And I'm going to tell you right now also that if we got Miami in the second round and gotten past Philadelphia being healthy in the first round, we would have given them a better run against them than the Sixers would have. So that's just me responding to Shaq and Charles this morning and the stupid shit they're saying about the Raptors being mired in mediocrity. Well, you know what, Shaq? You know what, Charles? Y'all are mired in mediocrity with your poor analyst skills because you're not paying attention. And, we have the receipts for what you're saying, and I have my receipts for what I'm saying right now. And I will put them on the table next to your receipts, and we'll see who's right by this time next year. That's all I have to say about that. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Let's get in the comments section now. I just had to do my little beginning spiel. Good morning, Seymour. Very good to see you. One of the real ones. One of my favorites on this channel, Mr. Seymour Pape. I wonder if you live near Pape, because I live near Pape. I'm not far from Pape. Pape's just down the street from me. So, Seymour, maybe I'll see you more around the neighborhood this summer if you are living near Pape. Top of Top's here. Good to see Top of Top. Haven't seen you in a bit. Raps had a great season, but playoffs proved my suspicions. Pascal is a number 2 on a champion. I won't disagree with this statement. I think that you might be right to a degree. It's almost like he needed a kick in the butt and to say, hey, Pascal, you need to step up and we need you to do more. And he did in the last 2 games of the series. He did a great job. Actually, in the last 3 games, game 4, game 5, game 6, he played better. But you know what? I have to agree with you, Top of Top, that I think that he is better suited as a second superstar on a team. Like, I consider him a superstar. I think that it's a very much a slight that these guys do not call Pascal Siakam a true superstar in this league. I think that that's kind of a slight because he's getting all the accolades. He's doing a lot of the dominant stuff in different ways. It's just that there's a certain limit to it also at a certain point. And I understand that. We after all will realize that Pascal's only been playing basketball for 10 years of his life. And he's what, 27 now? So you do the math. He started playing as a teenager around 17 or 18. And he's this good at this point. So these guys have no idea, like, as far as like how much better he could get still. And I really do truly believe he's going to really micromanage his game and get better and better, whether it's by figuring out just like subtle differences with how he does his footwork, whether it's figuring out subtle differences with how he lets the ball come off his hand to get a better spin, to get the ball to go in. All that kind of stuff is stuff that he can really fine tune and get better. And he's going to get better. I mean, the fact that he's gotten this better at this point in his career, he's way above what anybody ever thought he would be as a player ever. So, I would be more comfortable, I think, like you're saying, top of top, if he did have a number one guy like Kawhi next to him that would take some of the pressure off him, because he does work better when it's not all on his shoulders. And I really do feel like it's going to be either, the three guys. It's either going to be Scotty, obviously, because Scotty could step up and be our superstar and be our number one guy in a lot of ways. But in some ways, he's better off as a facilitator. It could be Precious. We're seeing skills and things and raw talent from Precious that could be really molded into a true offensive weapon with direction. And then thirdly, I think it might still be OG, guys. That OG has an all-around game that's very good, and he's further along. He has more experience. It's just him taking the initiative of being more strong. Now, if you have all four of those guys working as almost a superstar, well, does it add up to maybe two superstars? Like if they're half superstar, and then you got four of them, does that mean that we have two superstars on our team? I would argue with that, because that's the thing. And in some ways also, like we've been saying all season, sometimes it's better to not have all your eggs in one basket. And that's Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. You lose one of them and you feel it real bad. Whereas if we lose Pascal, we have three other semi superstars to kind of carry the weight. So I like what you're saying, top of top, and I agree. I would like somebody else on our team to step up and initiate themselves as being the go-to guy alongside Pascal as a double barrel shotgun. And that maybe that person becomes more relied on in certain situations that Pascal's not as good at. But we still use Pascal in a very strong way also and continue to build what he's already been doing. Because like I said, I really feel like he's going to be like DeMar DeRozan. And he's going to look at his game in a very like micromanaged kind of way and make those slight differences where he's going to come back even more badass and stuff like that. So Tom Duke is saying, good morning. I am a gardener and love that analogy. Yes, Tom, I love to hear that you have a green thumb. That's very fantastic. In fact, I have one myself. I have plants growing in the back and I love to tend my backyard. I do a wild style where I like to just let it grow the way it's supposed to. And that's kind of the way Nick Nurse is doing it. He has a wild style with his players. He kind of lets them. I know that what they did with their exit interviews and their different like plans for the summer is the team gives them kind of maybe goals, kind of loose goals. Maybe they're not really like you have to do this, but hey, this is what we suggest you work on this summer. This is what we suggest you look at and try and improve this summer. So they have real concrete things that they know can help the team from the smart builders of the team. Excuse me. So Scotty has a program that they give him and they say, if you get better at this, you get better at this, this will be great. And that's the thing. These guys are the kind of guys that aren't going to go and fuck around for the whole summer. In fact, Fred said something really cool on Friday. He said, I've decided that, I don't want to get into off season and get out of shape a little bit because I realize how much tougher it is to come back and get back into shape. That he's staying at ready to go all year round, that there's no off season for him. And a lot of players, when they hit the off season, they go and sit on the couch. They go play video games. They go eat junk food. They go get out of being shape. You ask James Harden. Yeah, stuff like that is what we are not doing. We are going to continue to work. We're going to stay in tip-top shape, most of our guys, and they're going to come back and they're going to be badasses. This happens every year. It's kind of like training camp is fun because you get to see the new toys that these players come back with, new kind of things, new aspects to their game. And that's really exciting because one of them last year was Gary Trent stealing the ball. That was something he worked on over the summer. And then, boom, all of a sudden we saw that new trick for next year. And I love that kind of aspect and that mystery about not knowing how they're going to grow or how much better they could get because the potential is there. These guys could be like weeds this summer and just grow, shoot up. And then all of a sudden, Scotty Barnes is flirting with being an all-star this year. It's stuff like that. These guys just do not understand. And I don't expect them to. And I really honestly, I think it's an NBA directed kind of thing because it's put on blast. It's like that's what they want to put as the last memory of the Raptors from this season, that we're stuck in mediocrity. Okay, put some money on that and find out next year where our record is. And find out next year which seed we end up being in at the end of the season in 2023 next year. Yeah, I'm going to predict right now we're going to be a top 4 Eastern team. We're going to have home court advantage in the first round, and we may even be the number 1 seed in the NBA next year in the East. And people may think I'm fucking crazy, but all signs point to this. We weren't healthy last year, and we got to 5th. We could have easily been in the top 4 this year. There were all kinds of stumbling blocks and roadblocks for us this year, and we persevered, and we were one of the top Eastern teams. People don't want to say that, but that's actually true. We were one of the top Eastern teams. You ask anybody who was in the thick of it with us in the second half of the regular season, and they'll tell you it was not fun playing us. You can't be how are you not a top Eastern team when you can go to the Western Conference and win 5 games in Western Conference arenas in a row on a road trip with your captain on a bad knee. He had just been injured and stuff like that. I'm sorry. That's a top Eastern team that can go and do damage in the West Coast like that against their teams in their arenas like Phoenix and Denver and San Antonio and the Clippers. That is a good team. All right, let's see. Top of top saying Fred isn't a starting point guard. I know he got hurt, but his game is overly reliant on threes. He got exposed by Maxey, and he would have regardless of the injury, and his attacking the net is poor. I don't agree with this at all. He's still a starter. And he should be, because his wisdom and his veteran presence and his way he calms down the game, the way he kind of directs things is smart in a lot of ways. And we did miss him in Game 6. In fact, he may have helped us get out of things in Game 6 in a way that may have helped us get to Game 7. Now, the one thing I will say about Fred's role that may need to change for next year is that he may need to be more of a shooting guard. That he may need the bigger guys to be the distributors, and he's just on the end of getting the pass and just putting the ball in the basket. But I don't like this comment particularly top of top because he is a starting point guard, and listen, he would have done way better against Maxey if he wasn't hurt. That this is true. He would have done way, way better. He's a top defensive guard in this league when he's 100%. And when he's able to not feel like hampered by his knee, he can keep up with Maxey and he can guard him way better. So I don't agree with that part of that kind of stuff. But I do agree that he is probably going to change his role next year. And he probably will not be carrying the ball hardly at all next year. He will at times when it's in tough times and we need a vet to kind of control things. But I think that they're going to let the other guys control the ball and carry the ball up the court, and he's going to be an outlet, and somebody's going to hit the shots. That's how I look at it. Let's see. Top of Top's also saying in playoffs, you need a point guard that can put pressure on the rim on an elite level. I would consider moving him, and getting a center, but I like the rest of the core. No, just flat out no. You do not move Fred VanVleet. I'm sorry, dude. We got to stop the bleeding at some point. As far as losing champions from our team. Top of top, and all 4 of our guys, and I'm saying Chris Boucher too, because Chris Boucher's up for free agency this summer, and we need to bring him back. He's absolutely mandatory, essential. We need to bring Chris back, and we need to covet and really honor and protect keeping our 4 champions that have championship rings on our team. Because championship ring leadership is way different than anything else, and that is a premium we need to put on that, at premium. And you can't devalue him like this. You do not understand how important and valuable he is to this team. And this is something we need to keep. We need to keep all 4 champions as long as possible. We've lost 2 every offseason. And I'm not going to talk about trading Fred, Pascal, OG, or Chris like anybody else has in the last year, or any point at any time. You know, a lot of people were talking about trading Chris this year, and it was fucking stupid. It was a dumb idea all along. And I'll also say, you know, trading Fred and Pascal and OG is really not smart either. That there's a certain amount of culture and championship and team leadership that is invaluable that you would not get back from the player coming back in any kind of way. So those intangibles are way too invaluable, and it's off the table as far as I'm concerned. Now, if he becomes a bench player, that yeah, that may happen, but he does not leave the team for any reason whatsoever. And I don't like talking about that because I really do value the guys who have rings on our team. Like I said, we lost Norman and Kyle last year. We lost Serge and Mark the year before. We lost Danny and Kawhi the year before that. We keep losing our champions. We lose our attachment to that year and then wisdom that was gained from that playoff run. So this is a non-starter for me. These guys are not tradable, in my opinion. All right, let's keep going. Tom Duke saying Fred VanVleet needs respect for his leadership, and he's getting much more than a shoot, and he is much more than a shooting guard. I agree with this. He is much more than a shooting guard. But if our offense flows really much better with the higher court vision, the more of the passing around, because like I said, sometimes the ball sits with him too long, sometimes different things like that. But there's so much to him. Tom is kind of hinting at what I was just trying to say. Seymour saying, Jay Will from ESPN said that the flagrant foul Draymond did last night on Clark is a move you do to the Raptors. I'm pissed. Why are they always hating on us? Jay Will, was that, you mean Jay Williams, Jason Williams, or Jay Williams, the guy who rode the motorcycle and fucked up his career, the old Chicago Bull, the Duke guy? Yeah, he's an idiot. Honestly, he's an idiot. Listen, they shouldn't be saying stuff like this. This is irresponsible because you know the amount of hate and death threats that some of our people in our organization are getting right now is just fucked up. It's just wrong. And if you see it on social media in different places, go ahead and report it because these people shouldn't be making death threats towards Pascal Siakam. They shouldn't be making death threats towards Jack Armstrong. It just shows that they're at a level of civilization that's very close to going back to barbaric and stuff like that. Like we're supposed to be moving forward and becoming better as a society and people in general. I mean, these people are fucking stuck in the dark ages in their stupid fucking way of thinking. So Jay Will, you know, if you're talking about Jay Williams, it's like whatever. He's a scrub. Honestly, what did he do in his career? He didn't do jack shit because he fucked it all up. And he's just a salty dude. But yeah, that's irresponsible of any analyst to say this is the kind of move you do to the Raptors. Whatever. And once again, these are just words. You know, in some ways, we have to embrace being the villain on that side of the border. Like when Scotty was sitting in his exit interview, he's wearing a Darth Vader shirt. You know, our uniforms, like I said, part of the design looks very Darth Vader or Evil Empire kind of looking with the black and red jerseys sometimes and different things like that. So what? If they want to paint us as that, so what? So be it. We'll fucking wear it and we'll fucking use it as an advantage in certain ways like that. So once again, we can't stop people from saying or perceiving or thinking a certain way. All we can do is just be ourselves and concentrate on what we're doing. But yeah, that's really not classy. And if anybody who's calling for Jack Armstrong's job, they should turn around and be calling for Jay Williams' job now also. But yeah, thanks for telling me about that. And it is what it is. Whatever. They're idiots. Yeah, that dirtbag. Jay Williams. All right, Marlon Toby is saying, yes, Shaq, I agree 100% on Chuck and Shaq. Just like they are assuming we are going to trade for Rudy Gobert, who's limited in scoring, and his money doesn't make sense for us to do with Utah. $200 million. Yeah, good morning, Marlon. Good comment. Yeah, listen, these people are trying to make suggestions for how we should run our team. They're trying to tell Bobby and Masai what to do, and these fucking people don't understand. You know, Drake sings about God's plan. Well, we got Masai's plan. And Masai's plan isn't going to be influenced by some dumbass old vets that fucking are fat asses sitting on a log, sitting around thinking what they think we should do. In fact, they're scared of us. This is part of the reason why we're hearing all kinds of different things. Whether we're hearing the rumors about the Lakers wanting Nick Nurse, whether we're hearing them say that they want us to trade for Rudy Gobert, they're trying to influence the world, the sphere of influence and perception. Maybe the common Raptor fan will listen to them and start championing them and parroting their stupid ass messages and saying, yeah, we need to get Rudy Gobert for the fucking, like, because Shaq said it. This is part of the problem, is that the media machine of the NBA in the States affects our fan nation, and then they start getting ideas and they start parroting them. around. This is stupid. Like, we don't want Rudy Gobert. That's like not the switch that we want to make. They just want to put a saddlebag on us that's on Utah now and get it sent to us as a problem. Like, saddle us down with his salary. Because once again, they look at us as like some sort of weird foreign farm team to get coaches and good players from. And if there's any problems in the league, well, let's ship them to Toronto. It's a fucked up mentality, and it is wrong, and it's messed up. But yeah, these guys are idiots. I'm so glad that Masai and Bobby have their own brains. They're going to go pick Scotty Barnes instead of Jalen Suggs. They're not going to do dumb, frivolous trades just because it's out there in the media and stuff like that. So trust in Masai, trust in Bobby. They're going to steer the ship through all this noise that's absolutely just malarkey. It's malarkey. So yeah, there's no way we would want Rudy Gobert. It doesn't make any sense at this point. We may have taken him before, but now that we see that, like, he got the big contract and he sucks after he got the big contract, you don't want that kind of player. You want players like Pascal who got a big contract and they continue to work their ass off. And I don't know if Rudy Gobert's that guy. It seems like he's kind of sitting on his laurels now that he got his bag, and he doesn't really give a shit. He's just collecting money and showing up for games. Monique's here. Good to see Superfan Monique. Armani Brooks with a full summer is chef's kiss. Ooh, that's an interesting prospect. Listen, thinking about Armani Brooks working with the team, with our development staff, him going to summer league and getting lots of reps there, maybe getting a full training camp with us in different ways. I mean, he is under contract for the season coming up, so he will be in our plans for the next season. So yeah, I like that idea. I haven't really thought about Armani in particular because, a lot of those end of the bench guys, I'm not so sure what's going to happen with them. I mean, we're going to have to see how it all falls out and how things go for the summer. But yeah, Armani is definitely going to be back, and it will be very interesting to see maybe a leap or bound. That's the thing. Shaq and Charles don't understand how old our team is. And that, listen, we're already excelling at this point at this age. That's the thing. On the down low, everybody understands what's happening here. And they're trying to derail the train with subterfuge and just bullshit and saying stuff like that. Whether it's Laker Nation trying to get Nick Nurse fried from us, whether it's Shaq and Charles trying to play GM for us and telling us what we need to do so that we're not stuck in mediocrity. Well, you know what? We need to keep going the way we are right now because we're just going to get out of mediocrity because none of these guys, we're not even in mediocrity. That's the thing. We're a good team. We're not a mediocre team like Washington. We're not a mediocre team like New York. We're a good team, and they're trying to derail it with fucking misinformation, stupid shit. G saying, I think we need Fred. He studies the game and takes pride and think he will come back better. One of the things that I love about Fred is, listen, he's way smarter than the average NBA player. He has a huge intelligence. Like, he's very intelligent. And that is one of the reasons why we need to value him also. Sure, he's limited by certain physical things, but he makes up for it way more with guile and smarts and just being a vet and just knowing how to do different things. So listen, once again, I cannot say this more. On this station, I will never endorse a trade for one of our 4 champions. I will never endorse sending them out of here or talking them down because they deserve respect. Like I did yesterday, I did my greatest Raptor of all time report. These guys are patched in. These are 2 of the top 5 greatest Raptors of all time in my book, Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. And they continue. This is the thing. They could be even greater. They could go up my list because they could get a second championship. They could get more accolades. And that's what I'm saying. So we need to give them time. They're so young and they're very attractive to other teams. We need to realize what we have and stop poo-pooing who they are. Because in some ways, the part of what the NBA media machine does this is they devalue our guys and say none of their guys are superstars so that, teams can try and fleece us in trades. And the great thing is we totally trust Masai and Bobby that they're not going to get conned, that these guys are too smart for that. So that's the thing. Other GMs and other people that are running teams can get conned and can get scammed by other teams. And our guys aren't going to do that. And that's why they really see the value in these people. And that's why we need to also understand that. Because, seriously, Fred VanVleet is a genius. In some ways, he is so smart. And the other thing is he's willing to do whatever it takes for us to win championships. And that even means taking a back seat if he has to. or stepping up his game and trying even harder and things like that. So Monique's saying, preach, Lex, let's go. Yes, Monique. Yes. Anybody who's talking about Charles and Shaq and what they said about the Raptors, well, you're getting my retort today and exactly how I feel about it. All right, let's see. G is saying Fred kept Curry's points the lowest in the league in 2019 during the chip run, so not willing to judge during an injury year. He was also top 6 in steals and deflections prior to the injury. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that has really good defensive skills because he's so smart. He knows when to strip the ball. He knows when to push the ball out. He knows how to guard people. He makes up for any kind of athletic slowness that he might have in relation to somebody like Maxey with his really smart guile. That's what I'm saying, is smart stuff like that. And I think that G's example right here of how he handled Steph Curry in 2019 is a great example. And there's been so many different times that Fred's done this kind of stuff and been so important in those kind of ways for us. Seymour's saying, any chance we can draft Zach Edey, 7'4"? Wow. Yeah, listen, I mean, let's draft a center. I'm all for drafting a center. In fact, I wanted them to draft centers just so we could have one down the pipeline, somebody we're developing. But this won't be the center that comes to save us. This won't be the center that we're going to be like, oh, this is the guy. That's who I think that'll have to be in free agency. That'll have to be, and it's not even going to be a top center. It's just got to be the right kind of center that fits with what we're looking for on our list of needs. And, I'm interested in a 7'4" guy. Yeah, but he would be a project. He would be somebody that we'd work on for a couple years and that he may not emerge as a rotation player or somebody really important to the team right away, that it may be a couple years down the road. But I like 7'4". And I went and looked at, what's his name? Coburn. You guys were telling me to go watch Kofi Coburn. I forget who it was. I think maybe Daryl Turner or somebody like that was telling me to go watch Kofi Coburn. And he's fantastic. He looks great. But one of the things I'm worried about with Kofi is that he looks like he may be too slow for the NBA game. That's one of the things that's really, you can see a dominant center in college that just dominates, but that game is slower. And that in the NBA, it sometimes does not translate. That you really need to look and see how quick they are in certain ways to see if they actually would be a good NBA player. Because if they're too slow, then they're no good in the NBA. I'm going to tell you right now, they could be the biggest guy and they could look so dominant in college. But if they're not fast enough for the NBA game, they're useless in the NBA. They're basically useless. That's the gamble with these big guys. And from my eye test watching Kofi Coburn of Illinois, is that he has to be really close to the basket to make his shots. And even then, he's not totally good. And he did look a little slow to me, as far as what I'm saying. Summer Lowe's here. Good to see Summer Lowe. Fred might make second team all defense this year. Wow, I didn't realize that he's kind of in the running for that. I haven't seen any of the votes for all defense because they're not on that spreadsheet I was showing earlier a couple weeks ago. But also, that's fantastic. I mean, that would be a great accomplishment for him, and that would be great recognition for the things that he's been doing. I hope that happens, Summer. I didn't even realize that he was in contention. That's good. Monique's saying it's everywhere, but many want Kai Soto in second round in the draft. Kai Soto. That's another name I'll have to go check out, Monique. I'm guessing that would be another center. Summerlow's saying, fuck Jay Will. Someone sent him a motorcycle. Yeah, it's just wrong. Like, if you're going to be petty and salty like that, Jay Willis, we're not even playing right now. Like, honestly, all this salt coming towards us, even though we're out, is just showing that they are worried about us, that they do see us as a threat, and they're preemptively doing an information war to try and fuck us up in different ways, like I was saying earlier. Is that they understand the writings on the wall, that Scotty Barnes is a real deal superstar in the making, and that they're trying to cause dissension and different problems for Raptors Nation in any which way that they can. Whether it's Sixers fans threatening bodily harm or talking all this shit right now after the series is over, or whether it's the ESPN analysts or the NBA inside the NBA analysts talking smack and saying things from the head office to make us have kind of shakiness. Because the average Raptor fan who may get all their information from everything are seeing this, and they may be thinking today, wow, the Raptors really don't have any chance to grow from here. Oh man, Charles and Shaq said it. So it has to be true that they just don't have anywhere to go, that they're just going to be stuck in the middle for a long time. This fucking bullshit. That's such bullshit. That is such bullshit. In fact, if we had been healthy and everything had gone according to plan, we would be playing Miami tonight. We would be playing Miami tonight. I think that Philly was lucky in a lot of ways, in different ways in this series. That they had a good game plan, they hit hard, and they fucked us up. But if we had had guys healthy, like important guys healthy in certain situations, we would have won this series against the Sixers. I truly believe this. Now, they ended up being the better team, and I'll say that because we were hurt. And that's really why. That if we hadn't been so hurt, and they can say, oh, we were hurt too, Joel's thumb and stuff like, well, did you guys miss games? And don't tell me Thibault. Fuck that Thibault bullshit. You didn't miss games like Scotty missed 2 games. Fred missed 2 games. And Gary might as well have missed 2 games, the first 2 games of the series, because he was absolutely sick and ineffective. Absolutely ineffective. He didn't do anything to help us in those 2 games. So, yeah, I like what Summer said here. And honestly, yeah, send him a motorcycle. I'm okay with that. There's Tom Duke. He's got it. He already has it there. It's a nice red one. Looks like it really gets around the street pretty quick there, Tom. I like it. Yeah, and Seymour's laughing at it too. He thinks it's good. Monique's saying, yeah, Rudy Gobert, shaking my head. Maybe he was our second plan in the Giannis sweepstakes. Maybe at that time, if Utah hadn't doubled down and super maxed them out, maybe we would have came and swooped up Rudy Gobert at that time and given him a super max at that time and made him our franchise center. But we didn't. And once again, I feel like we've dodged a bullet considering, yeah, I really do feel like he's one of these guys that gets the money and runs and that he's not going to continue to work. And that's another reason why I so value Pascal and Fred. These guys continue to work. They're not, I think you can pay them as much money in the world and they're going to do what they do already. They're not going to get soft. They're not going to take days off. They're not going to be like, well, I got my money. They're going to fucking go to the gym and continue to get better and better and better because this is the thing. These guys aren't playing for money. These guys aren't playing for like glory. They're playing for championships. They're playing to win Larry O'Brien's. In fact, Fred on Friday in his exit interview said, I'm disappointed because our ultimate goal this whole season was to win a championship. Even though people didn't believe in that. That's what I'm saying. This team could get hot. This positionless basketball could get more and more perfected. There's all kinds of growth that could happen with our young players. That our ceiling, these guys don't have any fucking idea what our ceiling is. If they didn't know what our ceiling was at the beginning of the season, Shaq and Charles, and they were like astounded by how we did this year. They're astounded. They're like, whoa, how did the Raptors do this? Well, they're going to have the same fucking shit keep happening to them because they're going to keep being like, wow, the Raptors are way better than we thought. Well, that's what I'm saying. The receipts are there. We see these articles now. And I even think it's kind of insidious of Yahoo Sports to put it on my front page, maybe knowing my preferences and my likes, that Yahoo's trying to fuck with me by putting that article right in the headlines and saying that shit for me to look at. You ever get that feeling when you're on social media or on news sites or something like that, and they're trying to trigger you? Like that you get that feeling and like somebody posted this or put this in my face to trigger me. We need to be aware of these kind of forces out there that create content and put things out there that sometimes the content is made to trigger us. So if you have a triggering response to something, really don't just fall into the trigger of like, I'm mad about it, but try to understand why and where it's coming from and maybe what the reasoning is behind the people sending it to you or putting it in your face to get you to feel that way. There's like nefarious shit out there. It's part of it's with Facebook, that Facebook does dirty psychological shit to us by changing the layout or changing different things around, and it can really fuck with people. Yeah, it can really do. So you got to watch out for that. All right, let's see. G saying Rudy scored half the points Pascal did this playoff. I mean, he hasn't been scoring hardly any like points at all. Like he's really not. They're not able to count on him. And that, he is a real albatross saddled around their neck at this point with that huge salary. And I don't know how anybody's going to want him. Charles and Shaq are trying to dump him on us. We don't want him. We don't want him. We don't need him. He doesn't fit what we're doing. Diane Hart's here. Good to see Diane. Here every morning, live, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking Raptors every single day. We don't take the offseason off. I'm going to be here every day. Do you see Yuta and Svi coming back? Well, listen, they have player options. or something. And I don't know. I really don't know. I'm 50-50 on this. In some ways, I really want to see Yuta come back because I do see a promise and a development that can happen with him where he can be reliable and be able to be a part of our rotation. Svi, I think he really messed up this year. Like he should have been further along because he's had time with so many different clubs already, whether it's the Lakers, the Pistons, Oklahoma City, and he's played better at other places than he did this year for us. So I don't really want Svi Mahalik back, unfortunately. But Yuta, I'd love to have back just because there's a lot of different intangibles that come with Yuta. But with Svi, I really did feel like he let us down, that he did not step up and do different things to really kind of help us. And I wouldn't be upset if he's not back next year. Now, Yuta, I might be a little upset if he's not back next year just because of a affinity for him. But Svi Mahalik, like seriously, dude, you had so many different chances in this league, and you may have just had your last one because I don't know how attractive you are to anybody in this league at this point with this season that you've had. Like even in games near the end of the season where the game was out of hand, you're getting garbage time, you're still missing your shots. And you can't that's the weird journey of you. Like you're the opposite of kind of what our other guys did. They grew and they got better and better over the season. Well, you were really good at the beginning of the season. You looked like you had promise. And then you just squandered it as the year went on. Every single opportunity you got, Svi, out on the court, you did not excel. You did not show up. You did not hit your open shots, which is basically the one important thing we really needed from you this year was hitting your open threes consistently. If he had been that consistent three-point shooter that we'd hoped at the beginning of the season, like coming into training camp, he won the three-point contest between all the players on the team. You could have been a rotation player and been a heralded hero this whole entire year, Svi, because we really needed three-point shooting off our bench. But unfortunately, we couldn't count on him. So that's the long and short of it, as far as how I look at it, Diane. Is you know what? If they bring Svi back, I give him another chance. I won't be upset. It's just he really needs to really show something, or otherwise, it's like it's a waste of time. It's just a waste of time. And Yuta is showing more and more, and he has shown development and growth since we've had him, the time we've had him. But Svi has gone backwards, in my opinion. Seymour saying, whatever happened to Jalen Harris? Is he still a Raptor? And Tom Duke says, drugs. Yeah, that's exactly what it was, Seymour. At the end of last season, right around this time, he had a very good game where he scored 20 points. And then he came and did the post-game interview really fucked up. And I was like, that guy's fucked up. When I was watching, I was like, he's fucked up. And then like a week later, the NBA substance people came and banned him from the league for a year. So he had to go play overseas this past season. Now, I know we still have his rights, and maybe the ban was only for a year. We talked about this recently, and maybe he will show up somewhere this summer. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath, and I don't really want him, honestly. Like, he's shown that he can't be depended on in some ways. Like, to me, he's not as good as Malachi. Malachi's better than him. And, that's what we don't need more undersized guys. Like he's an undersized guard. He's not the kind of direction we want to go. I'd much rather have guys on our roster that are right around 6'7" to 6'9" in general. So, yeah, personally, I don't want to see him back, but I wish him well. And if he can overcome his demons and his problems and get back in the NBA somehow, some way, good for him. Because sometimes people just don't get a second chance. You got that first chance, you squandered it, and then sometimes you just never get another chance. And that's the sad truth of it. And Monique's saying, yeah, he was overseas this year. Seymour Pape saying Zach Edey is from Toronto. He's Canadian. That'd be great. Yeah, I want more Canadians on this team for sure. And he's also Seymour saying Kofi has Jamaican roots. He would fit in Toronto. Sure. I mean, listen, it's got to be the eye test of Bobby and Masai that gets them in the door. My eye test is one thing, but their eye test is a whole other. And if they see something in either one of these gentlemen, then maybe they will give them a good hard look. Like, I am all for collecting Canadian guys. And the reason is because they're home and that they may have more allegiance to wanting to stick around and play for the Raptors if we get more guys that are from up here. And, they understand Canada and they don't feel weird being up here because the money looks different or, it's colder or stuff like that, things like that. So I'm all for getting more Canadian content on our team as far as how many roster spots are Canadians. We had 3 this year, and that was fantastic. That was the most we've ever had on the Raptors. And hey, if we have 5 or 6 over the years, there's nothing wrong with that because the Canadian talent that's coming in the NBA these years is absolutely fantastic. And it's top level stuff. I mean, we see all these different guys that are Canadian that are just killing it in the league on different teams. So I like these ideas. Monique saying Gary Trent Jr. shooting coming back will be even more special. I think that Gary will improve in different little subtle ways, and we'll see it next year. I think all of them will. Some of them will have huge leaps where it'll be very evident and be like, holy shit, Precious is like even more crazy better, or Scotty for sure. Those 2 guys in particular, I'm really expecting to come back with a huge leap in their game to a certain degree. Now, other guys that may be little subtle things, like Pascal said, he wants to work on his 3-point shooting this summer and get really consistent at the 3-point line and like make it something where night in, night out, we will see him make at least 3 or 4 threes or 2 or 3 threes every single game instead of maybe some nights he just doesn't have the 3-point shot. So he's going to work on that. I'm sure Fred said he has different things he wants to work on this year. And maybe it is certain things with his 3-point shot. Maybe it's certain things with how he gets positioning for where he's going to get the ball and different things like that. I don't know. Each one of them will have an itinerary of skills and things that they want to improve for next year. And I think that's the thing that Shaq and Charles don't understand about us. Other teams may stand pat and have players just be who they are. But our team is a bunch of guys that may as well be going for the most improved player of the year award. Is that all of our guys are going to continue to work really hard this summer, and they're going to come back with all kinds of new slants and angles to their game. Let's see. Summer Low saying Jalen Harris looked great in his 31-point game. Yeah, he's a real scorer. He's a bona fide scorer, and he has a good shot. I don't disagree with this. It's just unfortunate, like honestly, because you want somebody to be dependable for that kind of stuff in the game. Well, are they dependable enough just in regular life because of maybe they're doing things that they shouldn't or stuff like that? So it's tough to say. And to me, also, I mean, David Johnson could be just as good as him. Like in some ways, I see David Johnson in the same role as Jalen Harris this season. And that David Johnson, in some ways, showed more than Jalen Harris did. And that I'd rather continue developing David Johnson and try and make him into this thing that you guys think that Jalen Harris is. Because they're very similar kind of players. And also, David Johnson's slightly taller than Jalen Harris. And in some ways, he rebounds better, and he also has a better all-around game, just from what I saw on 905 this year. Now, I know Harris didn't get to play on a 905 team, really, because of the Tampa situation. But I think that there's guys that are very similar to him that we have right now that are, maybe better in some ways. Like I say Malachi and David Johnson are basically what Jalen Harris would probably end up being. You guys think he's going to explode and become something all crazy better, but I don't see it. I really don't see it in him. And it may be that partly his college game was really, really good. But once again, I'll say people like Jalen Suggs, Jalen Harris, their college game doesn't necessarily translate to the pro level. That they're smaller guards and they may be able to do some of the scoring and different things, regularly in college. But when they get to the NBA, they can't do it in a regular, like pressurized game or let alone the playoffs. That it's like they can do it in garbage time or in games that are worthless or don't matter. But when it matters, can they still do that kind of scoring? I don't know. Monique saying Malachi Flynn is so much to show, but I almost gave up on him, to be honest. Yeah, me too. He's kind of similar to Svi with me. Like, listen, he showed some good stuff, and Fred talked about it when he was actually, before he got his hamstring injury and he was starting for Fred at that point, he was doing badass. And that is really what Fred told us to all look at as far as Malachi is look at that little period of time where he was starting and he played good defense and he was scoring pretty good when he was starting then. But, listen, it's like there's no guarantees on anything. You have to be on a certain track of improvement over time to continue to hold your spot. And you can't just expect to have that spot just because you're there. You have to continue to work and make sure that you earn it. And I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with Malachi this summer. It could be he's not on the team or whatever. He could get waived because we don't see a future with him. We'll see what happens. We'll just have to understand what these end of the bench guys, what their fate is as the summer goes on. We'll see. Let's see. Summer Low saying Jalen more like a shooting guard. Watch his footwork and attack. He's fearless. Yeah, I mean, listen, he was super impressive at the end of the year last year, and there were different things about him that I did like. But once again, like honestly, that like you can't fuck up your chances by being so fucked up like that. And who knows how much he was getting fucked up all season. And on the down low, the Raptors were kind of covering it up and stuff like that. We don't want problem guys like that. And to me, he's a problem guy if he has a substance abuse problem. Some people have said, oh, his painkillers he was on or different things like that. The thing that I saw, he looked drunk. He looked either drunk or seriously high on something like fucked up that he shouldn't have been. And the fact that it was so soon after the game was like this guy was either fucked up during the game or he went and got fucked up within 10 minutes of coming to the back and then going and doing an interview after the game like that. And that was real red flag for me. I'm like, oh shit. Because I was rooting for him and I thought he was an interesting prospect. But once again, he's a second round pick. Many second round picks don't ever make the league in any kind of way. And so, we've got to understand there's an expiration on chances and possibilities and stuff. Seymour Pape saying Banton and Champagny will improve. The future's so bright. Now, see, these are guys that I can get behind and are real projects that are going to go forward. Like in some ways, Justin's a really good 3-point shooter himself. And it's funny because I'm doing the Raptor Freak memory of the game in October the 10th. October the 4th, 2021, the first preseason game against Philadelphia. Justin came out and was gangbusters. In fact, in that game, this is what his line was. He had he played 22 minutes. He was 7 for 12 from the field. He had 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 17 points. And that's in his first preseason game, Justin Champagny. So these are the kind of guys that I kind of like looking at. And obviously Delano's a keeper, and he's going to get better and better and better for sure. Summer's saying Malachi can't survive here with Fred playing 40 minutes. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. It might be better for Malachi if he's not on the Raptors, that he just doesn't fit our what we're going to do in the future, and that Fred does hold up a big spot of where he could possibly getting minutes, but also he could be part of the solution of giving Fred some time off more next season so he's not so run down like he was at the end of this season with injuries. But Malachi also hasn't shown that he's can be counted on for sure. Like he's not steady. Sometimes he can come out there and be really a fuck up and just turn the ball over and miss all of his shots and absolutely give us nothing and really blow defensive assignments also. So he's not dependable. That's part of the problem. We really need to get bench guys that are dependable. And that's something we absolutely did not have this year. And once again, that's another thing that I will argue to Charles and Shaq's opinion of us is that we can easily improve by improving the end of our bench and just having more dependable bench guys that come to us this summer. That we were already this good with 48 wins, 5th seed in the playoffs, and it's all going up. I don't understand why they think we're middling out. I don't understand why they think we're going to get worse. We're a young team. They're getting older, and they're going to get better, and they're going to learn more, the younger guys. And that we have rooms in roster spots where we can improve also and make our team have a couple more wins just by getting a better bench score and stuff like that. So, all right, let's keep going. Rahul's here. Good to see Rahul, number 27. Should the Raps trade for Jordan Clarkson? That's another name I've heard about, like trading for. And that was somebody that somebody talked about recently. That's not Jordan. That's not Poole, who's playing for Golden State right now in the playoffs. That's Clarkson. He's a different one, playing for Utah. And, I know some other people that have said that, yeah, maybe this is the bench score that we need because of what he's done for Utah and stuff like that. Well, what's the cost? We got to see what the cost is. And, if the trade, it doesn't line up, like if it has to include any of the 4 champions that I said, if it has to include any of our young prospects that we really like, then I say no. Because one of the things is Clarkson has been in the league for a while. And what I'm saying, the whole theme of today is ceilings and stuff like that. How much better will Clarkson get? How much, and will we trade an asset that has the room for really crazy good potential that we can really reap the benefits of instead? So I don't know. I'm not a real big trade guy. I'd much rather get guys through free agency and the draft in those kind of ways. And like, I don't even want a big splash or anything. Like the part of the reason why Shaq and Charles are saying this is that they want the Raptors fan nation to pressure the management to make a big deal this summer that we don't need to make. Honestly, we really don't need to make it. We can stand pat and just re-sign our free agents, Chris and Thad Young, and maybe get like a small move on the, make a free agency signing for our bench, and we'll be fine. We don't need to make a splash like they're trying to say, because that's part of what it is. They're chicken littling for us, which is absolutely unnecessary because they don't know us and they have no idea who we are. And then that's the problem. Our fan nation will start chicken littling, echoing what they're saying. Well, Shaq said it, so it must be true. That kind of bullshit. So we need to understand, as knowledgeable Raptor fans that actually understand, because we're on the ground running with the team, paying attention to them every single day and seeing all the games and understanding things that Shaq and Charles just aren't. That we need to realize their noise is unnecessary. And in some ways, it's trying to get us to chicken little as a fan base to influence the management to make a deal and pull the trigger on stuff that we don't need to do, is what I'll say right now. Yeah. All right, let's see. Summer's saying package Precious for someone while his stock is somewhat high. Now, that's an interesting idea. Like, as long as we get something equitable, like if there is going to be a glut of superstars that are all around the same age and we have to make a tough decision as far as like who we give money to at a certain point, obviously we want to go with Scotty for sure. And Precious may be somebody that we can't afford at some point just because we're going to give money to certain people already. But I don't want to do it so soon. I really want to run his contract out and then let Precious decide or figure something out with free agency. I know you're talking about getting value for him and stuff like that. Now, he is the one person out of this young core that I personally would like to see how he develops and grows, but he is possibly a good trade chip. And I won't deny this, Summerlow. And I also feel like you're right. Like his value is super high right now. And it's almost like it's kind of like somebody who buys a house, fixes it up a little bit, and then flips it for a profit. It's kind of like what we're doing, like with Precious possibly. It's like we got him for a really good deal with Kyle, and we could turn around and trade him and get something even better down. Who knows? Like I'm not, as he's the one person out of this core that I would be willing to listen to offers for. The other guys are off the table. I don't want to hear any deals for Pascal, OG, Fred, Scotty, Chris Boucher. But Precious is actually an interesting piece that could actually get traded in a way that's constructive for our team, that could really help in some ways. So I'm open to this kind of talk about him. But in a way, I really kind of want to stick around to see just how good he could get. Because much like Scotty and Pascal and different people, they've gotten better, and we've reaped the benefits of getting better. And we kind of want to stick around with him and see how much better he gets, because those are the things that will push our ceiling up higher than what Shaq and Charles see it as, is these guys coming back and being more and more superstars and stuff like that. So that's an interesting thing. And I knew somebody's going to bring this up. I didn't want to talk about it until somebody did. But now that you brought it up, this is actually how I feel about it, Summer. This is smart in a way, but also I don't want to pull the trigger unless it really is a good deal, for sure. And I'm not a trade guy like Fred. We don't want to make trades, but if it will work and it's smart to do, yeah, sure, if it makes sense. G saying Champagne practices hundreds of threes a day. He may come back and surprise people. Yeah, I think all of them are. I mean, Justin in particular has a real motivation. Finishing the year in the G League, not being able on the playoff roster, he has a chip on his shoulder. He has things that he wants to prove. So this summer, we could see him play his ass off and work on his game so hard. And this is the thing, his offseason is very short. Like, they're going to get into the summer league stuff pretty quick as soon as the playoffs is over. And he's going to be going right into a whole, like, starting everything up again, like in, June, July. So he's going to be going right back to work very soon. Seymour saying, Summerlow, who would you move him for? Summerlow said, Shaq said to Barkley that the moon is closer to them than LA because he can see it. I don't even know what that is in reference to, Summer, but it's hilarious. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Is somebody pulling their pants down? Are you talking about the literal moon? I don't know. I don't know who we trade Precious for specifically, Seymour. And I honestly, unless Bobby and Messiah are the ones scheming and thinking of it, I don't really want to put it out there. So we could say that it's a possibility that Precious gets moved just because if it makes sense. But otherwise, he's in family. He's part of us. He loves the city. He's enjoying things here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. It could be that Precious was somebody that Masai Ujiri has wanted to have on the Raptors for a long, long time, and that was the whole reason why he was okay with the Lowry trade. And that, turning around and trading Precious is not something that he wants to do because he worked so hard to get him. That may be something also with it, is that Masai has wanted Precious on the Raptors for all kinds of reasons. And I don't see him just flippantly trading him for any reason also, because in some ways he's family with Masai. They're kind of family in some ways, just because of their time together when he was younger in Giants of Africa and things like that. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to figure out what you meant about the moon stuff in a second, because I see you talked about it. Rahul's saying, if I'm the Raps, I'm not trying to extend Freddie and Pascal this offseason. Raps management needs to analyze how Pascal and Freddie performs again in the postseason. Yeah, they're doing that. They're definitely looking at them and seeing what they're doing and stuff like that. We'll see. We'll see how it all happens. For me, like I said, these guys are patched in. They're champions. They helped win a championship for Toronto. And in some ways, we need to treat them with the same kind of respect that we treated Kyle with in some ways and stuff like that. So I don't know. We'll see it. It's a delicate situation because honestly, that's negotiations and trying to figure things out. And you don't want to piss people off or show disrespect to people that actually deserve the respect also. So I don't know. We'll see how they deal with it. Once again, I got to trust in Bobby and Masai. Some are saying at Seymour, who knows? But his potential, his value, I don't see his game evolving much further than what it is right now. And you can't really teach smarts. I disagree with this, Summer, completely. That honestly, Precious is on a upward trend that's going to be badass. Like, honestly, they may be talking about him being a superstar in like 4 years from now. That if he can really rein it in, and I think that you're not giving him enough credit, that he is smart, that he can figure things out and do things that are like really special, like seriously, because we've seen it all season. Like, he got better and better as the season went on. So I just expect him to continue to do that. That I don't think he's going to hit his ceiling in his first 4 years of his career. That he's going to continue to get better and better and better, especially in our program with our teachers and our development and stuff like that. He's going to get better and better. And I think that honestly, he could be like a 20-point scorer, 10 rebound kind of guy. He could be very much counted on. He could also become like the kind of scorer that's so hard to guard because he has a 3-point shot and because he can post up and he can drive off the dribble. That is all really super valuable. And that in some ways, he may have the two people on our team that I think are going to grow the most and get even better are Scotty and Precious. That those guys they're going to go into the stratosphere. And that they're very equal in some ways. Like, any kind of growth that you see in Scotty that's possible for the future is the same in Precious. I'm going to tell you right now, it could be the same kind of level even in some ways too. So I disagree with this. Summer, you and I agree on so much stuff. But in this one right here, I don't think he's anywhere near his potential right now. I'm serious, because there's so much he could clean up. It's part of it's his decision making, and part of it is just like getting better with like making his free throws. He goes this summer and works really hard on his free throws. That's going to give an uptick in his scoring average, and just recognizing what to do in certain situations and stuff. And then plus, he's another defender that can guard all 5 positions. He can guard the 5 and pretty much try and guard the 1 because he can keep up with his sidestep and stuff like that. So this is all really super valuable. But I do like the fact that you are kind of looking at the idea of trading him just because of the potential of what we could get back. But it has to absolutely be like, if we traded him, I would want to trade him for somebody the level of like Jaylen Brown. That's the level that I could see Precious getting to. And I know I may sound crazy right now, but I would want to trade him for a level of guy like Jaylen Brown. That's how good I think Precious will be down the road. So Click saying, am I the only one that watches old Open Gym episodes to reminisce? That's awesome. That's awesome, Click. I'm glad you do that. And you know what? It is fun because, like, honestly, that show's been running for how many years now? 6 or 7 years. And you can go watch like the old DeMar episodes and episodes from different times, and you really get, it's a time capsule. It'll take you right back to that period of time in the Raptors history. And you're like, whoa, yeah, I remember Terrence Ross doing this and Corey Joseph and all this kind of stuff. And I like what Click's saying here. Don't trade Precious. We can get rid of Cam. Well, I don't want to get rid of Cam either, but Cam he's a little bit more expendable. I would say that, sure, but none of them should be. But Click's saying injury prone, only getting older, liability on offense. I think that Cam actually could get better also. This is crazy because he's being so non-aggressive with his offense. If he actually lit a fire under his ass and tried to score and do more, he could be a good scorer for us. And I don't think it's totally fair about the injuries. He had really bad luck this year. He took some elbows. He had COVID. His knee was real problem this year and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't want to do this whole thing where we're like, okay, I want to trade Precious. No, I want to trade Cam. And then we're all just throwing names out of people that we want to trade and stuff like that. Because I don't know if people are watching us from Raptors organization or even players or something like that. I don't want them to feel bad, So it's like I don't like talking about this kind of stuff too much. But the thing about Cam, there is value in him. Summer, just because, well, value to us as a player, maybe not value on the market from trading is what you're saying. The value to us is exactly what he was doing in the series against Joel, was being a stop and setting a physical tone against him to kind of try and stop him from getting going too much. Like if you notice at the beginning of the games, Philadelphia couldn't go directly to Embiid right away in this series to establish their offense because Cam was really guarding him really well and stopping him. And once again, I don't want to undervalue anybody because, and the other thing is, as much as I value the championship ring guys, I value the Canadians also. Like I said, I want more Canadians on this team. So Ken Burge is Canadian, and he wants to play here. He grew up watching the Raptors as a kid, and that's his team. Like he said, I grew up watching the Raptors with my dad. It's a very good memory, and it's kind of like I dreamed of playing for the Raptors. So it's in a way you want to honor that also. It's like the dude finally got to us, and he's here, and he wants to be here. It's kind of like that. The DeMar DeRozan, I want to be here. We don't want to just ship guys out and give them the shaft frivolously. We really need to be careful, thought out plans and actions as GMs for the Raptors, Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri. They really need to think about that. You can't just frivolously toss people away or put them out there in trade talk because, this is a loyal dude who really wants to be here. And in some ways, that's a really good thing and stuff like that. I think that Kemp could get better, honestly. Like there's certain things about his offense of game near the basket is really good. Like I think he could have averaged 10 points for us this season if he had just been a little more aggressive with shooting. He said himself, his personality is, I don't want to look for my shot. I try to set up my teammates and stuff like that. But I feel like he needs to be more selfish. And if he does that, it'll be different. Summer saying, just remember when Precious holds the ball and needs to think for 4 seconds what his next move is and then somehow fumbles it into a turnover. Well, part of that is just scheming so that he doesn't get in those situations. And then part of it is also just teaching him how to read those situations and deal with them better. It may be that they start telling him, it's like, Precious, we don't want you to hold on the ball in those situations. Pass it to the next guy. Or, if the shot clock is starting to run down, that's when he usually has to do a move or something like that. And any of these guys, like if you think about OG, when he was a younger player, he dribbled the ball off his foot a lot when he was young. And that's just part of the learning curve as a young player, learning how to not turn the ball over in those kind of situations. So I think he's going to get better at all of this. And the thing that's absolutely amazed me about Achua is that he has a handle. He can actually dribble. And like we've seen him do crossovers and different stuff like that. That's really super valuable because you've got like a power forward kind of grunt kind of guy who can play defense all over the place, but he's also got handles. That's insane to me. Like the talent in him is really understated in some ways. Like people don't realize this. People have slandered him in some ways because of his Miami year as being very one-dimensional and being a certain kind of player. He's not that player. He's way more all around than we want to realize. And there's a huge value in that for sure. But what you're describing here, Summer, is something they can fix. It's something like part of the time when Precious would have those bad turnovers that you're talking about is when our offensive scheme broke down for whatever reason. And then we weren't actually playing the right thing. And he's just trying to scramble and make up and hit a shot before the shot clock runs out is half the time with that. But most of the time he plays within himself and he's not doing some of that kind of stuff. And he's really working with the other guys and not causing turnovers too much. So let's see. G saying Precious improved so much in a short time. Would want to see another year of him being developed for sure, for sure. And he's under his rookie contract, going into his third season. He's definitely with us, and then that's maybe when we make decisions about whether we invest in him long term, or we could do a sign and trade, or maybe even in his last year under contract, we make a deal at that point, something like that, for something for him if it makes sense. It has to make sense for sure. But yeah, I'm with G. The exponential growth and development of Precious Achiuwa this season is very interesting, and I want to see if it continues to exponentially grow next season also. That may inform what we do with them, actually. Click2M saying Fred's bet on himself mentality can hurt us in contract negotiations. Dude, he's a baller on this. Like, he's hard-nosed. In fact, that whole parlay special about Fred really opened my eyes to how he's bargaining with Bobby Webster, and like he's really like going at it with him. Now, I should go and look at their contract situation and stuff like that. I think that he's still under contract for next year. It's like a player option or something like that. But it's the kind of thing where it's like, let's take care of the guys we need to take care of for sure. Chris Boucher and possibly Thad Young. Whether they do want to bring him back or not is up to Bobby. But I would like to see Thad be back, and definitely Chris. We need to make Chris our priority this offseason in some ways. Like, he may not be the biggest money thing or something, but I think he's absolutely essential for us to bring him back for sure. Let's see. G saying he is also 22 and only real year he has played and his role was much bigger this season. Those are like rookie mistakes. Yeah, I'll agree with all this for sure about Precious, that he is so young and like we have no idea. Like he's gonna be so good. Like, honestly, we need to stick with him and allow us to get the rewards of how much better he's gonna get. Click saying we're gonna need to keep enough money for Scotty's bag in the future. Well, that's the thing. They kind of look at the sections of the salary cap as like, this is our max, this is our super max, this is our mid-level, this, different like pieces of our salary cap structure. And I'm pretty sure, even though Pascal's on the deal he's on, he's like on the max deal. But we have a super max deal that can come around and be thrown at Scotty when the time is right. So that's the kind of thing. They're really planning ahead. They've got like a 10-year plan, like I said, and they really look at where the money can go and where it should be invested and stuff like that. So I think that is a priority for them, that they see the superstar brand, the possibility for him in all kinds of different ways, that he is probably our number one priority, even just after 1 year as a rookie, that he may be more of a priority in the long term, obviously, than Pascal and Fred, OG, any of the other guys, is Scotty. So yeah, I agree with this, Click. I think that we need to make sure that our salary continues to be in a way where it's manageable for us to throw max money at Scotty every single time his contract comes up in free agency. But we have a couple years that we don't have to worry about this, fortunately, right now. G saying JV was very, very clumsy too, and Butterfingers, and people forget that now. Yeah, that's the thing about a big guy. Like, we go get Zach Edey, Kofi Coburn. These guys are projects. They're going to have to learn how to play in the NBA and not have some certain turnovers and different things like that. You look how long the journey for Jonas was to get to the point where he was with the Pelicans in the playoffs this year. And we had to go through most of those development years with him and really see the struggle that he had in different places. But you look at how much better he is and stuff like that. Centers take time. And that's why if we really need a center because of the core right now, we need to go get somebody who's more established and already further along with developing into being a true NBA center and stuff like that. Monique's saying, check out Raptors social Champagne already killing it. So what are you saying that Justin Champagne's all over social media right now? I've seen him on Instagram posting a couple things and stuff like that. Yeah, but most of them are very quiet. I've seen Thad Young back at home with his kids, kind of playing games, playing Rockwell. Somebody's watching me as he's watching his own kids. It's like a little sketchy, but fun nonetheless. But all the rest of the guys, I've barely seen any of them. I think Chris Boucher got in a car with some of his buddies, and they drove back to Montreal, across Canada, stuff like that. Summer's saying, yeah, I suppose keep Precious for a couple more years and see how he turns out. Because his value could go even higher. Summer, we're going on potential right now, so it's kind of like we want to do two things at once. We want to get reap the benefits from him getting better and better, but then when he's absolutely getting really close, like higher up, and then we're like having to make tough decisions with our money as far as who we invest in, then that's when we pull the trigger. So it's at least maybe a year or two away for sure. At least we got to give them all this core a chance to even grow even further this year and prove Shaq and Charles wrong. Oh yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Monique loves Precious. She wants to keep Chewy, as she calls him. And G saying, Summer, I agree. Give him a chance, in my opinion. Unless, like Alexi said, part of a huge package. But he did a good job on Embiid for his first year in the playoffs. Yeah, he was guarding Embiid really, really well. And then, like I said, this dude's trying to guard Maxey too at the other end. And like he could guard Maxey, he try and guard Harden. He's guarding everybody. And the more guys we have, like OG Anunoby, that can guard all five positions, this is a premium, really badass trait for an NBA player. How hard is it to be able to be strong enough to physical Joel Embiid and then also be quick enough on your feet that you can try and keep up with a guard like Tyrese Maxey? That is not very many people on this earth. And that's why that's part of the reason why I value him so much, is that he is that hybrid of strength and speed. And that's why, listen, let's let him continue to grow. And then when it's like a really nice thing, maybe then we have to make a tough decision or something like that. And who knows, things could change really weird in a weird way where we're starting to say, well, Precious is absolutely untradeable, that he is a guy that we want to have for sure. So who knows? We'll see. But in my eyes, out of everybody, in some ways, yeah, he's the one that I would talk the most about being a trade piece out of any of the other ones. I don't want to trade Scotty. I don't want to trade any of the four champions. I don't want to trade any Canadians. But Precious is the kind of guy that's like, maybe this guy could really get us some pieces back that we need. But also, we got to realize what we lose when we trade him also. G saying, Summer, I agree. Give him a chance. Oh, I just read that one. Summer's also saying, haha, yeah, I would love Jaylen Brown, but that's borderline superstar. Even if we look back to redraft to 2016, Jaylen would go first and Pascal second. I don't know if I'd agree with that, honestly. I think Pascal's a better player than Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, I love him, his character and stuff like that, but also there's some ambiguity about whether he's like Thibault and he didn't get all of his vaxes, and that if we had been playing Boston the first round, he might have been the one that wasn't allowed to come across the border to play us. So there's different things about Jaylen I really like. But that's what I'm saying. That's the kind of level. Like, you know what? If we really want to get Donovan Mitchell, then I'll trade him straight up Precious Achiuwa for Donovan Mitchell. Would you do that deal? And would Utah do that deal? That's what I'm saying. Donovan Mitchell, not Clarkson off the bench. I'm talking about Donovan Mitchell for Precious Achiuwa. That has to be that level for me to want to trade him, because the promise and the prospect of Precious is too good. And if we're going to get something, it better be like a Jaylen Brown or a Donovan Mitchell. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you come with a deal for Precious Achiuwa to Bobby Webster, you better be bringing us somebody like Jaylen Brown or Donovan Mitchell. That maybe that's the way I should have put it. Yeah. Monique saying Open Gym is already in season 10. Like, that's insane. Season 10. Holy crap. Well, keep going. I hope that show continues to go forever and ever and ever, because it's absolutely amazing. And it's like our team is so lucky to have something so well produced, so behind the scenes, that really shows us the real life of the Raptors and stuff like it's awesome. Seymour saying Precious for Brown. That ain't going to happen. And Brown, an enemy OG, would not be happy, guys. Honestly, Brown would fit in great on the Raptors. He's a player that I like. I know I hate the Celtics, but out of all the Celtics, he's the one I like. But yeah, I know it won't happen. It's not realistic, but it's really more of an example of what I see the level of what we should be trading for if we are trading Precious. That we need to get a secondary superstar on another team like Donovan Mitchell or Jaylen Brown. That's the level. Then if it's somebody less than that, then I'm not even fucking talking to them. I'm not even taking their deal or a call. I'm like, yeah, you don't come with that bullshit. You know Precious is a stud blue chipper. He's on his way up. You better fucking send something with Jaylen Brown in this package, Celtics, if you're trying to get Precious from us, that kind of stuff. So, and I know Celtics fans probably if they see this, they're like, there's no way we would trade Jaylen Brown for Precious Achiuwa, stupid shit like that. So, all right, let's see. Click saying if we get a decent 7-foot center and Bogdanovich type player on the bench, we're easily top 4 seed next season. Yeah, and I agree with this. G's agreeing with you. I think that we can do this just like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, I don't even know if the center is essential, honestly. I don't even know if the center is absolutely essential. But the Bogdanovich kind of player is. That is a really easy way to upgrade, and we need this. We need this Bobby Webster. We need a scorer off the bench. Go get Lou Williams from Atlanta and bring him back here. Somebody like him, just somebody who can fill it up and we know will make points for us. We need a Vinny the Microwave Johnson like the Detroit's bad boys had back in the days. Instant offense, somebody who comes in and can fill it up. Whenever we're having these stupid ass lulls in our game where we have 5 minutes, 6 minutes where nobody scored, this person needs to come out there and change that. Is what I'm saying right now. That's what we need. Oh, yeah. Click saying Precious got better with that at the end of the season. He was more decisive and knew what he wanted to do. That's why he was playing well at the end. Yeah, I agree with that too. And once again, Summer, we pointed this out, you and I personally, after the last game of Game 6, that Precious and Scotty were really trying to force their games because they felt the pressure of the season ending. So they were really doing more than outside the box than what they had been doing controlled under the Raptor system up until the last game, because it was really like, this is do or die. And they personally were like, we want to do everything we can, even though it didn't work as well because they were forcing themselves, whether it was Scotty shooting too many threes or Precious trying to force like his dribble or do different things like we're talking about right now. That really they can play disciplined, and they have for the majority of the season. And when we see when they're out of bounds, like in that Game 6, but that was really them trying their damnedest to do everything they can to win. Because in a lot of ways, Scotty really wanted to make that history of coming back from 03. And that in his eyes, he wanted to win a championship. He's playing all out and he wants to continue to play. And that's why he was so upset that we lost in Game 6. And he didn't say, shake anybody's hands or anything because he was that pissed. It's crazy. All right, let's keep going. G saying, I know you don't totally agree because of positionless ball, but Lou Dort is a UFA agent in 2023 and a real chance he may come. Nick Nurse loves him. He's a great two-way player. Yeah, we have talked about this at times, G. And I listen. If these guys think that he'd be great for us, if Bobby Webster says let's get a Montreal connection going with Chris Boucher and Lou Dort and those kind of things, then hey, have at it. So that's a great idea. Once again, he's Canadian. I totally welcome on this team if it all works out that way in different ways. But I don't want to sacrifice anything or do anything stupid or weird in a trade or something like that to get him also. So, but yeah, if it lands and it happens, I'm all for it. That's a great player. He's a real baller and he's a tough guy. And he does play bigger than his size. He's a bigger, larger than life kind of player in some ways. So, yeah, I'm not against it. It's just got to make sense. And it has to be the right kind of thing for how it happens. I don't want to give up anybody weird for it. Monique saying Jeff Landicho is working for GOA Ujiri Productions now. He's one of the producers of the Open Gym, right? And he's working on some Giants of Africa stuff with Masai Ujiri. That's fantastic. Let's see. Leslie Hart saying Rudy Gobert or Andre Drummond. Drummond, no. We've said Drummond a couple of times no this year. And even last year, no. Like both these guys know because they're kind of black holes in certain ways and they hurt the efficiency of their teams. Like Andre Drummond actually is a loser. Like every team that he goes on to ends up being a loser team. It's like he doesn't help teams win. Even though he's a dominant rebounder, he's like all kinds of different things. He also causes a losing effect on his team somehow, some way. And I'm not totally sure how or why. I've tried to study it over the last couple of years. But yeah, he's the kind of guy you don't really want. And he's way too slow as a center to keep up with our kind of scheme and what we want to do. And Gobert is similar in this way. He's kind of too slow also. So I'm not very big on either one of them, Leslie, myself personally. But, who knows what Bobby might be thinking. Summer's saying, yeah, I would do Donovan for Precious. Okay, so you like that deal. See, I think that's the level that we have to look at, the caliber of player that if we're going to try and deal that Precious, we've got to get some good back for him. And let's see, Summer's also saying throw in a draft pick for that too. From us to them or from them to us? That's what I'm wondering. Okay, Click saying Brown is better than Pascal because of his shot creation ability at all three levels is more consistent, but Pascal's a better defender. Um, I still disagree with this. Like Jaylen Brown is a lot of it is he's under the wing of Jason Tatum, and that in some ways he doesn't have to do what Pascal has to do. And in that way, he's kind of got less pressure. It's kind of like what we're talking about with Pascal would be better as a number two. Where we're seeing Pascal as number one, and really Jaylen Brown is playing as a number two. Now, if Jaylen Brown had to step up and be the number one instead of Jason Tatum, how would the Celtics be in that situation without Tatum there with him? You got to ask yourself those kind of questions. And I completely agree. Pascal's a way better defender than him. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Jalen's a little more dead eye and more dependable with his offense, but I still think that Pascal's way more dominant in different ways in games than Jaylen Brown in some ways. See, I'm going to argue against the Celtics every single time. Of course, I'm going to argue that the Raptors are better than the Celtics every single time, Click. I'll make up a case. Even if I'm wrong, I'll try and do it. But it is close. I think that they're close, but I think that you have to give Pascal because he's in the all NBA conversation with Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown is not. So that's also you got to kind of gauge it that way too. Click saying that Lou Will is retiring. Yeah, he's an example. It's a kind of player like Lou Will or Bogdanovich, as you guys have mentioned also. It's just a scorer off the bench, somebody we can just depend and know that they are going to score points no matter what. Seymour saying at Click, yeah, Pascal has a ring. That's another one right there. Seymour just pointed out maybe the biggest difference between Jaylen Brown and Pascal Siakam is that ring. Yeah, and Summer's saying, I agree with you, but it's very close. See, she thinks Brown's better, but listen, I'm very biased for Pascal, and I know that he's a Philly series, but honestly, not really. He stepped up this playoff. He did a lot of important things, and like it's really good. In fact, tomorrow, guys, we're gonna be doing a Raptor Freak trivia, 9:30 a.m. G's got to come in and defend his championship a couple more games before the championship is determined in the NBA. Then we'll give him this championship practice jersey with JYD signing on it tomorrow. Trivia, Tuesday trivia, 9:30 a.m. Get some points. Enjoy, show off your knowledge. Summer, I want you to come back because you killed it the one time you came in and played trivia. So please come back tomorrow, and you'll find the subject is very timely. It's something that everybody should do very well at because it's pretty current stuff. So should put it that way. So all right, let's see. Brown has Tatum to take pressure off of him. Pascal with Tatum would be deadly. Hard to compare, in my opinion. Yeah, see, that's that. Yeah, exactly. Think about it that way. With the Pascal playing with Tatum next to him, and who it would be ambiguous who the number one is in some ways to me personally. Seymour saying if you compare careers, Pascal has edged out Brown, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree with this too. Click saying Rudy is paid $200 million for blocking shots. He can't shoot and can't guard the perimeter like Precious and Chris. Yeah, he's not versatile enough for our system. That's what I'm saying. I don't want anybody real short, and I don't want anybody real big and slow. They have to be able to fit with our positionless kind of versatility and stuff like that. Yeah, Summer's saying Rudy way overrated and overpaid. Yeah, we dodged a bullet. If that was the second choice after Giannis in the Supermax year that year, I'm so glad that Utah doubled down on him, kept him, instead of him possibly taking the money from Masai and coming to Toronto, because that could have very well happened. Monique saying, I'm huge on Mo Bamba and Yak. Yeah, Yakapurtle, dream candidate for us to get somehow, some way. But I don't think Popovich is giving him up because he's his favorite. He's one of his teacher's pets right now and somebody that Pop really, really wants in San Antonio. And so do the Spurs fans. They really love Yakapurtle. And they're not like all about being our farm team and letting us farm a center out for a couple years and then have him come right back to us and give all the benefits of that to us. So they don't like the idea of Jakob going anywhere. He's a very popular Spur right now. So I don't know how realistic it is, but I don't know what's going on with Mo Bamba's status and whether Orlando might do some things differently, but he would be great also. Yeah, Click 2AM saying, but look at the way Brown can get his shots off dribble, mid-range, acrobatic finishes to avoid or absorb contact floaters, and he's a better shooter. Well, Pascal's coming back this summer to get even better at shooting. Once again, this guy started playing 10 years ago. Like what? He's 28. He started playing when he's like 17 or 18. So his shot is only going to get better and better. His shot is way better than it was when he was a rookie. And that's the thing. He's going to get better. Give him a chance. And maybe the Jalen just comes from a place where he's already a certain reliable, really good scorer and shooter himself. And that Pascal's just going to take some more time to get to that point where he is. But I won't disagree with that. Jaylen Brown is much more smoother in some ways on the offense and maybe a little bit more reliable. But it's the whole all round of the play, whether it's the rebounding defense, the shot, block shots, steals, everything that I'm including in thinking about this. And in some ways, Jaylen Brown doesn't add up to the same thing that Pascal does in some ways. All right, let's see. Summerlow says Pascal's got the people's elbow, which is the one up on. Yes, Summer. Yes. Finally, The Rock has come back to the Raptor Freak channel. Yes, the people's elbow. I love The Rock, and I love that he got referenced here by Summer. It's like, I think that's right. Like, listen, like all these people hate him. Oh my gosh, everybody hates Pascal in Philadelphia right now. They're telling him he comes back there. He better watch his back and all this kind of shit. Oh my gosh, these people are such hot air and stuff like that. Whatever. I know they won't forget, and we should be a little bit vigilant when we're back in Philadelphia next season and stuff like that. But it's really annoying and stupid. But yeah, it's funny because, like, you know what they're calling themselves? Like, Scotty calls himself a demon right now. It's a little crazy. It's like, yeah, we're demon mode. It's like on their social media and stuff like that, demons and demons. Like, that's interesting. Like, they're calling each other the demons, like Precious, Pascal, and Scotty. These are their own words and own descriptors of each other, like go into demon mode and stuff like that. Very interesting stuff. So maybe Pascal was in demon mode when he went to the basket at that point, and that inadvertent elbow hit Joel Embiid and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a special report Sunday, one of the Sundays coming up, about the physicality in the NBA and the injuries, and really get more in depth and really talk about some of these solutions we have for how to kind of like stop this physicality and all these injuries that have been happening and stuff like that more. And so look for a special report sometime this summer talking about the refs and the physicality allowed right now and how it's dangerous for players and players' games missed and stuff like that. So G's laughing at Pascal. I love the people's elbow stuff. It was such a ludicrous move though in wrestling. It's like, who's going to lay there for that long? Allow him to throw the armband off and like do this all like he's got, and then he comes and then he hits, and then the move is kind of so silly in itself. Like that would knock somebody out. People's elbow is kind of you have to have a stretch your reality in that. It's like your disbelief and stuff like that. Leslie saying Bobby Webster and Masai find diamonds in the rough. I bet they will find someone that none of us are expecting for sure. For sure. I mean, I thought Svi was that kind of guy last year. I'm like, holy shit, Svi's on our team this year. Maybe he's going to be like something good, but it didn't turn out that way. But yeah, that's what we should expect. There's going to be some new names coming on the roster, no matter what. It's not like we're going to stay completely pat with everybody that we had this year going forward. But, it'll be real interesting to see what kind of gold they mine this summer, whether it's somebody from overseas, whether it's somebody that nobody really actually had any idea was out there in different ways and stuff like that. I totally agree with this. And in fact, this is the avenue that I like us getting new players more than like, say, a trade or even a big free agent draft signing, or even like a high draft pick. None of that stuff is important to me because we can find gold in the weirdest like nooks and crannies of the earth and world in all kinds of different ways and make it work for us. No matter where we're drafting or looking or whatever, we can find these people and bring them to Toronto. G saying Scotty was not happy for the season to end. You could tell even in his interview, he had his to-do list. Yeah, he wasn't happy. He had goals. He had aspirations. He wanted to push as far as he could. And like, listen, he's way ahead of the schedule for any of the other rookies as far as things. He's got more experience in the playoffs than any of the rest of them. That's important and all this kind of stuff. So he just wants more. And that's what we need him to want. And I know that he understands that, like, if he hadn't missed a couple games, and like I said, if he had missed a couple games, Gary had not been sick, and Fred had not missed a couple games, they probably would have won this series. Seriously. Because they were good enough to do it. They were way good enough to do it. And Charles and Shaq are wrong. We were good enough to beat Philadelphia. It's just we weren't healthy. And they can say all what they want to say and stuff like that, but we are way better than they think we are. And they're going to find out next year, once again, all over again. They're going to say we're mediocre and there's no room to grow with us. They're fucking stupid. They don't understand young players. They get better, especially if they have a really good organization giving them direction on how to get better. They get better. Trust me. Yeah, he wasn't happy at all. He wasn't happy, and it's too bad. It's too bad. And but that's the kind of thing. He's going to be motivated next year. And now he has the experience and the feeling of getting put out in the playoffs. You think he's going to want to feel it again? And he has more and more power as a player. He gets better. He's going to be doing every single thing he can do to make sure we do not get put out of the playoffs next year for sure. Click saying Sixers fandom has been driving me crazy with this Embiid bullshit. Yeah, yeah. Listen, just don't even go there right now, Click. There's a lot of bullshit, and it's bleeding over into shit like the Charles and Shaq stuff or the Jay Williams thing that somebody said like that's really fucked up. They told me that Jay Williams said that like the Draymond hit is something somebody needs to put on the Raptors. That's fucked up. That's just wrong, and they shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, don't even look at it. They're going to be so busy starting tonight. Like once the Miami series starts, they're going to have all kinds of other things to whine and cry about as when they start losing to Miami. And then hopefully, one of the Heat players will do a dirty shot or something on one of their players, and they'll hate them more and get the attention off of us because we're done. We're at the beach. It's like, come on, just leave us alone. We don't have anything to do with the NBA right now. We're in off-season mode. Seymour saying Udoka Azubuike. Yeah, that's a name that I've heard before. I don't remember Kenny Azubuike. But Udoka, I'm not sure who you're talking about exactly. This may be somebody coming up or somebody that possibly Masai's looking at or something like that. G saying some Sixers fans are hypocrites, are okay with Embiid elbowing and hurting players because 90s ball benefited them, but now want to hurt Pascal because Embiid is a victim. It's so bizarre. Well, it's just really like playing their own side and just like it's like Trump people. It's the same kind of shit. It's the exact same kind of shit. They disassociate themselves from reality just enough to fit their narrative of what they want to believe. And then, anything they do, it can't go wrong. It's that kind of thing. And in some ways, I'm doing that in reverse, but I'm being kind of fair. I'm trying to be fair about things and stuff like that. But yeah, listen, Sixers Nation, we're done with y'all for right now. Like, seriously, move on. Get mad at your coach. Get mad at your GM. Get mad at your players. Don't get mad at us. We have nothing to do with anything right now. It's all on you. And a lot of the smart Sixers fans understand that they just got a job to do and stop making excuses. Just show up with who you got and do your best. And that's hopefully, what more and more Sixers fans will start believing. And you got to understand who these people are. Remember, listen, I'll say this right now, G. Whenever I see Sixers fans online and what they're saying, you know who I pictures on the other end of the computer screen? The gang from It's Always Sunny. Jackasses like that. Just awful people from like that show. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That the people of Philadelphia are basically like them, the four people on that show. Just very awful people in general. And that's the way I deal with it. Oh, okay, this is just fucking Mac on the other end of the computer fucking talking out of his ass because he's angry, because he's just a diehard Sixers fan and this kind of stuff. It's like, if you look at it that way, you'll really get a joy out of it because it's kind of funny if you start thinking, oh, this is just the people that are just like the idiots on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So that's the best way to look at it. This is honestly. All right, let's see. G's also saying they're giving Embiid bad advice. He is injury prone and they're encouraging his style of play, and flopping will always lead to injuries. He can win on just his talent. Yeah, I agree with this also. I really do feel like the less the extracurricular stuff, it will benefit him in all kinds of different ways, whether it's more respect with fan bases and fans around the league, more respect with referees, more respect from other teams and different things like that, just from acting like a grown-up, not acting like a kid, like a little child. He acts like a child on the court. Seriously, Embiid does. And James Harden may have been a horrible person to come to the Sixers because he taught him this whole new flopping. And on the down low, I think half of his injuries have possibly been just from him falling on the floor himself and stuff like that. Quick saying, I wonder what Jack Armstrong wants to tell them. He's getting barraged with this. I think Jack's done. Like, he's on media silence. He's not doing jack shit for the rest of the summer. He's on vacation. And I hope that he's happy and he's smiling wherever he is. And maybe he's just not even paying attention to any of the hate and the death threats and the different fucked up things they're saying to him. As I said before, these people are so stupid. They think Jack Armstrong's Canadian. They're trying to get him fired from TSN for what he said. You can't get somebody fired for what he said. I'm sorry, Sixers Nation. If y'all y'all think you can get Jack Armstrong fired for what he said? You're fucking stupid. You're out of bounds. You don't understand your power is limited. You have no power to get him fired from TSN. So just because you're whining and crying like a little baby. So, and then the other thing about it is like they don't understand he's American. This once again, he lives in upstate New York. He travels and commutes to the Raptor games from his home in upstate New York across the bridge. And that also he's from Brooklyn. So he's a New York guy. So Sixer fan, you want to be upset at Jack Armstrong, realize he's Brooklyn. He's a New York guy, and that's who you're mad at. You're not mad at a Canadian. This is a Brooklyn mentality that he brought with what he said. You get what you deserve. That's Brooklyn talking. That's not Toronto, okay? Just so you know. All right. G's saying their commentator said that they don't care about Giddey when Embiid injured him. Yeah, see, they're fucking thugs. Like I said, we've gotten into this world of spin and spinning it from the perspective of whatever you want to believe. And I know I'm a part of it. I'll admit that I'm a part of it. But maybe I'm a counterbalance that's very much needed for Raptor Nation as far as things. Because if they're going to have their fucking people doing this kind of shit, we better have our people like me doing this kind of shit. So, but I'm trying to be fair and grounded in reality as much as possible. Maybe that's the difference. I don't give just carte blanche to the Raptors in all kinds of ways. I can be critical of them and tell them when they were wrong. But as far as what I can see, everything that Pascal did in this series against the Sixers was within the legality of the game. And maybe, yeah, he did put some receipts on people, but he was smart enough and crafty enough to do it in a way that it was not overt and it wasn't really intentional to hurt people. Like he did not mean to crack the dude's orbital. It's just bad luck. It's just a bad thing that happened. And maybe Joel shouldn't have been leaning in to try and get a foul or something like that. Maybe he should have been like, giving him a little bit more room out of respect. But he didn't do that. Maybe you lead with your hands next time, Joel, instead of your face. Maybe that's some good advice for you there. But yeah, listen, they're all trashy. Like they're trashy. Ala Abdelnaby and fake Doris Burke, they're trashy people. They're just trashy people. Monique saying still hard to believe Pascal's 28. Met him in his rookie year. That's really cool. Yeah, he's only 28. And like I said, he's been playing basketball for what, a decade, just over a decade. That's insane. Most kids play when they're like 6 or 7 and they build up from that. This dude started late. That's why we have to understand this incredible, the growth he's had, because he's really learned it all. Flop's here. Good to see Flop. Good day, Alexi. I listened to the Whistleblower podcast. I love basketball and my Raptors, but what would you say to people like me who are on the verge of giving up on the NBA because of the officiating? Wow. Yeah. I went through this also when I listened to the Whistleblower podcast a year or so ago or 2 years ago. It makes you feel like, what's the point if it's all so stacked up and also figured out and it's all so fucked up like this? Well, that's why there's going to be a reckoning for the NBA and its referees very soon. That when this Donaghy biopic for Netflix comes out, they're going to have a lot of publicity and a lot of stuff out there that they're going to have to do things to make changes. And the thing I'm predicting is going to happen is that they're going to probably have to fire a lot of the older coaches, or not fire them, just have them go off into retirement a little early, because they may be a part of the whole image of the problems that are in the Whistleblower podcast and also the thing that's going to come out on Netflix. So I'm really hoping that they take this as the chance to really try and make things way more fair in the league in different ways. And they need to realize that we're on to how they manipulate games in little subtle ways and different things like that and stuff like that. But I'm with you, Flop. You know what I'll say? Listen, take the summer off, take it away from basketball and get that natural excitement about seeing the players come back and training camp and those different things and the prospect and the excitement of that. Because once again, this is much like in real life. The odds are stacked against people and the world is not fair. And there is a lot of cheating and dirty shit going on in all kinds of different ways in this world, whether it's politics, whether it's business, whether it's like society and how it's set up. It's the same as what you're feeling about Whistleblower and how you feel about the refs and whether the league is fair or not. Well, it's all the same kit and caboodle, and that we need to just keep persevering and doing the best with what we have and trying to overcome it all is what I would say in this. But I would say take a break, and then hopefully you won't be so jaded about how you feel about the NBA by August or September or October and stuff like that. So Yeah, it's really disappointing, and it is very eye-opening, the Whistleblower podcast, for sure. Monique saying, Lex, how do you see Nick Nurse coming back as a coach? Do you see anyone changing with him? You're talking about the coaching staff? Well, it's really, I'd like to keep the same staff as much as possible. I hope Trevor Gleason's back again. I don't know what's going to go on with him just because he's Australian. Is he going to make a commitment to be on this continent and be with the Raptors still? I'm sure Nate Bjorngren will be back. I'm sure that most of the assistant coaches will be back, like Adrian Griffin, but people like Earl Watson could get stolen away and stuff like that. If we lose coaches, we'll obviously add new ones. And there may be a shuffle of some sort before the season, but we'll have to see how they decide and what they want to do. I was really happy with our coaching staff this year overall. Compared to our Tampa year, we had a hard time with our coaching staff. I didn't think our coaching staff was as good as it could have been. And it partly was because Chris Finch just took off on us and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that gets tinkered with, sure. Who leaves and who comes and stuff like that. Summer Low saying it flop. As long as it's free entertainment for you, you could boycott making any purchases from the NBA directly. Yeah, Summer, in some ways, I totally agree with this. I've often said I'm a Raptors fan. Obviously, I'm a very passionate Raptors fan, but I'm not necessarily a fan of the NBA as a whole. I'm a fan of a team that has to operate within the NBA because the NBA is a fucked up, fascist, corrupt entity in a lot of ways. The Whistleblower podcast shows it. They find people for fucked up shit. That's fascism to me. So yeah, I totally agree with Summer. If you can get around that kind of way in this way, and if you can directly, support the Raptors and not the NBA, like by buying tickets to go to the Raptors or buying NBA gear that's Raptors related, that's different. But supporting the NBA directly itself, sure, make your money count where you want to say with it and stuff like that. I agree with what Summer's saying. And Summer's saying the officiating is pretty bad for every game, even non-Raptor games. I mean, watch the Golden State game today. It was atrocious. The game last night, they won by 1 point over Memphis right at the end. Yeah, there was a lot of weird calls right at the end of there. And Klay Thompson missing 2 free throws in the last minute of the game. That's not very common with that kind of thing and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a little weird. Memphis was really kind of controlling that game for a good part yesterday. And then Golden State just comes back and steals it right at the end. But I am very happy to see Milwaukee get game 1 against Boston. I am totally rooting for the Bucks against Boston, even though they're defending champs. I want to see Boston go out, obviously. Yeah. Flop saying, thanks, Alexey and community. I subscribe to League Pass and don't know if I should be anymore. Well, that's a choice you got to make, honestly. It's just something you got to figure it out. And Summer's saying you can get them all free on streams. I mean, she's right in some ways. But anyway, I don't want to endorse that just because I think there's some legalities with that. All right, we're just coming up on 2 hours. We had a good talk. Once again, my whole idea for today was to talk about the very beginning of the season, the preseason game that I went to where the Raptors totally outclassed the Sixers. Of course, they didn't have any of their superstars at the time, but I did get to see Joel Embiid work out for half an hour and his expanded offensive skills that he had worked on so hard and was showing off finally at the beginning of the year. And then what a bookends is seeing that game and then the end of the season with the series against the Sixers, which I really feel like would have gone differently if we had been completely healthy in that series in different ways. And obviously game 3 could have gone way different and just for a couple of different decisions right there. So, yeah, what a great year overall by the Raptors once again. Nothing to be slouch about, nothing to be get down about just because Shaq and Charles have decided to put out this stupid shit publicly about how they feel about how our team is and the state of it is. Just realize this is propaganda. This is bullshit that the NBA head office wants to put out there. And it may be in some ways a retaliation for Joel Embiid being hurt and partly because of our team and stuff like that. So it is whatever. I really, truly believe that the garden of the Raptors players is going to be a flourishing, beautiful, lush garden that you would see like in the Amazon, something beautiful and just really full of life and vitality and growth. And that Charles and Shaq just don't see it because they're stupid and they're not paying attention enough. That they may be the kind of guys that get the bag, go home, hang out with their family, and they're not really scratching the surface or really paying close enough attention to the Raptors to really keep up with our growth and what we are doing up here. So I would tell every single good Raptor fan, positive Raptor fan like us, to go out there and tell people that, no, these guys are idiots. And if you start hearing any other Raptor fans parroting what Shaq and Charles have said in the last 24 hours. They're wrong. There's no way that we're not going to get better next year. There's no way. It's like if that happens, that means that really bad shit has happened with injuries or some other crazy shit happened otherwise. Because I just don't see it. Leslie's saying the injuries in the NBA have taken away from the game, especially this year. Yeah, it's a real problem. And part of the reason why they really need to fix this is that people are paying money to go see LeBron James play. And too often he's sitting. He's not there. You know, people that wanted to go to the Golden State game that Stevie Roots and I went to earlier this season at the Scotiabank Arena wanted to see Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and these guys come and play. They didn't even cross the border. And some of these people saved their money up for months and paid, and this is the only game they're coming to see, and their dreams were crushed. This is something that the NBA needs to realize. The games missed by players, whether they're by choice or injury, is hurting the game, and that they need to try and fix this stuff. We'll do a summer report on this, a special Sunday report on this for sure. Summer's saying, I hope the Sixers series made the Raptors players mad and more hungry. Definitely. I know Fred didn't like it. I know Scotty didn't like it. Pascal, you know, he learned a lot from this series too. It's going to be really good. Yeah, we don't want to see any more airplanes either. And maybe he will really think twice about this. Joel, just get more mature. Like, just grow up as a person, as a human being a little bit. Instead of just being this like huge kid. You're a kid. You act like a kid. You act like a child, honestly. You cry like a child. You do planes in the park like a child would, like they're playing. Woo! Maybe that's what it is. It's like, oh, I'm at the park. Woo! I'm a plane. You know, he's like a fucking kid and stuff like that. Summerlow saying, or Pascal will need to bust out the most electrifying move in sports entertainment again for all the rocks people, the millions and millions of Pascal's fans around the world. Finally, the Pascal Siakam has come back to Toronto. Yes, I love The Rock so much. All right, Leslie's saying everyone can clearly see that small market teams are not a priority for them. They only talk about LA and New York. Yeah, they overinflate the Lakers like they did last season, and we see what the dumpster fire the Lakers were. They'll overinflate the Knicks. They'll overinflate the Sixers. The Sixers are overinflated also. Like, they're not as good as everybody's been saying this year. They're not going to get past Miami. And in fact, before the playoffs started, before any of the injuries, I was like, there's no way Philadelphia is going to win a championship. That anybody who thinks that the Sixers had a legitimate chance to win a championship this year, you're dreaming. You are dreaming, because there's so much more complete teams out there with better athletic players and talent overall. And that, you know, you guys weren't going to make it anyway, regardless of whether Embiid got hurt or not or stuff like that. And part of it is it's inflation by the NBA saying it. See, they deflate us and they inflate them. And that's part of the thing that we all need to realize when we're watching this. Any NBA fan, that they're going to give a discount to the Raptors and they're going to give a uptick to teams that don't deserve it also. Flop saying, what's our best signing options in the offseason? Well, I don't know yet. We'll get more and more. Like, I really don't start getting really into the nitty gritty of off-season moves until the championship has been given to a team. But we'll really get into this then for sure, Flop. So stay tuned all summer. We're going to be here. Rank Scrub saying, in my opinion, the game can be won, but preparations need to be made to have a team capable of do-it-yourself basketball. When refs swallow whistles and punish teams, they want to win at the rim or mid-range. Now, this is part of the playoff argument, is that you need a superstar to go far in the playoffs because they need superstar treatment. You know, as part of that is part of the reason why they say, oh, you need a superstar to do this. Well, somebody's got to get calls. Pascal should get some sort of superstar treatment. But much like in our championship run, when we were in big trouble, we had Kawhi's talent to bail us out. He would come out there and he would just do amazing big-time superstar moves. And maybe this is the basis of why they're trying to say we're not going to be that good. But that's what I'm saying. These guys are getting the experience, and it could be different ones of them step up at different times and stuff like that. But that's an interesting comment, Rake Scrub. And I think that we are capable of figuring these things out still, that we have the right pieces. It's just that maybe different people are filling in different parts. Like Gary's a little bit of the clutch, or, you know, we just need OG to be a little bit more dominant in the low post. And then or Scotty, and we really have that low post go-to for sure. Stuff like that. And Monique saying Shaq has always been a hater. This is true. Shaq has always been a hater of the Raptors. All right, I'm just before 2 hours. This is like, what time is trivia tomorrow? Every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is always going to be my starting time from now on, Summer. So if you want to come see me, I'll be here every morning, 9:30 a.m. doing different stuff. Today was Monday Memories, talking about the first preseason game. Tomorrow, trivia. Wednesday, watch along. Thursday, think tank. Friday, freak out. And Saturday, share the love club. And then the Sunday special report. That's my weekly schedule. So you're going to get the certain days, trivia every Tuesday until the season starts again. Watch along every Wednesday. So that's it. Basically, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So show up if you can at 9:30. I know it's a weird time for different people, but most of you guys are able to get here around that time, and I appreciate it. Thanks again, y'all. Thanks for being real, diehard, positive Raptor fans. And yeah, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the bullshit that's being put out there these days, and be a part of the solution for it by saying, yeah, they're stupid. Don't listen to Shaq and Charles. All right. Thanks again, y'all. Let's go Raptors. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you watched this and enjoyed anything about it, hitting the subscribe button is the best thing you can do to help support me. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Monday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for trivia.